So let me get on to the next story, and this story comes from out of the fire fam. Thank you, Latif, for running us this story. It is definitely one that you guys that that I would be interested in pay attention to, and let me begin the story by giving everybody a content warning, a trigger warning, for sexual assault and rape, and for drugging, and for a medical professional allegedly perpetrating these crimes. So Will, if you could pop up, I'm debating here. Let's start with the package actually, because I'm inclined to think that the New York Times, I have a piece here from the New York Times that might include more details than the package, but the package is going to give us some pictures. And y'all know I come out of broadcast media. I like pictures. I like the shit to move. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, this clip is coming from AB7 New York, and let me set this up for you. So, a gastroenterologist living in Queens, New York, practicing at New York's Presbyterian Hospital as a gastroenterologist. I hope I'm saying that correctly. What is a gastroenterologist? A gastroenterologist is a doctor that diagnoses diseases and issues pertaining to your digestive tract, right? So I'm assuming, and maybe someone with more information than I, conditions like ulcerative colitis, whatever that is, or Crohn's disease, like maybe those folks who deal with those chronic conditions go see a gastroenterologist, right? Like, so I'm hoping I got that right. So a doctor. And let me tell you guys about this doctor. We're going to let the package do it, but let me tell you just what struck me about this person's identity. This is a good-looking man. Good-looking man. Cute face, nice body, doctor, got a nice job. And let it serve as a cautionary tale and as an example that you can't look at a person and tell who's the predator, who's the sexual abuser, who's the rapist. You cannot look at people and think that. You can't list off their status qualifications and think, well, why would that person need to rape? They have all this going on for them. They have partners, potential partners, would-be partners throwing themselves at this person. Why would they rape? Because rape is not about sex. It's about power. It's about dominance. And this is a troubling story that has had some recent developments this week. And this one is coming from out of Queens. So let's take a look at the package from ABC 7 New York.
Tonight, a doctor in Queens stands accused of doing the unthinkable, drugging and raping unconscious patients, and in some cases, filming it. The doctor is Zhi Alan Cheng at New York Presbyterian Hospital. Tonight, law enforcement officials want to know if there could be more victims. Here's Eyewitness News reporter Josh Einiger.
At the most vulnerable time in their lives, young women checked into the hospital and prosecutors say became targets of a predator in a white coat.
He's obviously traumatized.
Attorney Nicholas Liakis represents a 19-year-old woman who prosecutors say was drugged through her IV and raped by her New York Presbyterian gastroenterologist, Zhi Alan Cheng, who allegedly recorded the assault on his phone.
Having to go to the district attorney's office and see a video of yourself unconscious getting assaulted after being drugged is, that's unimaginable to deal with.
And she isn't alone.
People go into a hospital, they need help, they need assistance, they need to be able to trust their doctors.
Queens prosecutors indicted Cheng today on 50 counts, including rape, sexual abuse and assault, and unlawful surveillance, stemming from interactions memorialized in dozens of videos on his phone's camera roll. Some of the assaults on unsuspecting patients at the Flushing hospital where he worked, some in his Astoria home, and even in hotel rooms as far away as Thailand. The investigation began last year when a woman accused Cheng of rape. Detectives searched his phone and found evidence of many more victims.
It's always difficult when you find, when anyone is a victim, it is always difficult, but to find out after the fact Some might have known, some might have had a feeling, some had no idea.
New York-Presbyterian fired Cheng on the spot when he was first arrested. Today, the hospital described its responsibility to its patients as a sacred trust. The crimes committed by this individual are heinous, despicable, and a fundamental betrayal of our mission, a hospital spokesperson said in a statement. The hospital adding it's been fully cooperating with authorities. Prosecutors have charged Cheng in connection with 6 victims, but they say they have video evidence from his phone of as many as 6 other victims. They still haven't been able to identify.
Absolutely horrific. Now, to be clear, so Mr. Cheng, and if you could pop up the New York Times article for me there, Will, at your convenience. So Mr. Cheng, and the New York Times just reference him as Mr. Cheng. They don't call him Dr. Cheng, which I thought was interesting, but okay. But anyway, he was fired from New York's Presbyterian Hospital back in December. Why was he fired in December? He was fired in December for allegedly raping his girlfriend, and she made a criminal complaint. And it was only because this woman came forward that the rest of his alleged victims were or at least 6 additional victims or 5 additional victims were discovered, right? I mean, in that comes into, for me personally, like not so much a gross contradiction, but a contradiction absolutely, because again, we just kind of talked about, do you cooperate with police? How seriously, generally in discussing this topic on our show, how seriously do police take claims of rape, sex abuse, sex assault? But at least in this case, NYPD and the Queens prosecutor did take it seriously. Hold on. I think her name, what's the prosecutor's name out there in Queens? Her name is Katz. Do I have that right? She said in a statement at the press conference. Hold on, let me pull it up. Can you pull up the article, Will? And put Dr. Chang's picture up. It's important that we keep these photos up. And to be clear, I can say this, I guess. People are proven, they're innocent until proven guilty, right? Now, I'm looking at this guy, like, I think he's a cute guy. I think he's cute. 33 years old. 33 years old. A gastroenterologist. Successful. Working in his profession, working at a prominent hospital in New York, no less. And accused of all of these very heinous crimes. So, part of what he is also, first of all, I'm not sure if y'all peeped this in the package. Mr. Cheng has pled not guilty to these charges. Not guilty. What'd I say? He was fired from the hospital in December when, again, his girlfriend first made a criminal complaint. And when the police, as you heard in the package there, went to search his phone after the initial criminal complaint was made in December, it's when they discovered the videos of other alleged victims. And guys, you guys know, first of all, I say alleged because I'm a trained journalist, and it is imprinted in me to cover my ass by saying alleged, right? So, but you guys know what the fuck I think about the shit. You know what I'm saying? Because oftentimes when there are cases with multiple victims, especially like in cases with celebrities or well-known people, sometimes it will be the rando or the defender, the rape apologist, looking from the outside and be like, well, he didn't rape all of them. Well, what's the fucking acceptable number of rape victims, of sex abuse victims? I'd just like to know. So when we start to get into more than one, right? If the number of victims making claims is more than one, I am inclined to believe that the motherfucker did all them shits. You understand? Because predation is pathological. These sexual predators, they can't just rape just one. They can't just assault just one. They got to get better at it. And their technique needs to be refined. This man was cuffing all kinds of drugs. Okay. It says Mr. Chen was arrested back in December. Yes, yes, yes. I already know this. After the police discovered videos, et cetera, et cetera. What they claim, according to the New York Times, what prosecutors claim is that he would they claim that they found drugs. Let me not say the kind of drugs that he specifically used. I'm not sure if that was discussed, but they found on him fentanyl, ketamine, LSD, and several anesthetics typically used in surgeries. Now, what they also claim, prosecutors that is that he allegedly slipped one or more of his victims liquid anesthetic and then proceeded to assault them. Some victims not having any memory of the assault that took place. And as you heard from the attorney there in the package, one of the victims, age 19, had no memory of the assault, but saw herself being assaulted as part of the evidence, right? Can you imagine? Can you imagine? And unfortunately, a lot of people don't have to imagine, right? So, looking at this, there's a couple things that stand out. People who are in prominent positions that are esteemed in society themselves can absolutely be predators, right? And I don't, this doesn't need to be said to people watching this show. You guys know that we are not fooled. You know, fucking Donald Trump was a goddamn president. You understand? Billionaire, allegedly. Rapist, definitely. Sexual predator, abso-fucking-lutely. And the speed in which police and prosecutors seemingly have addressed this issue with Mr. Cheng is heartening. But I'm curious, maybe they moved on him quickly because of how egregious the evidence, how absolutely horrific his alleged conduct is. Maybe they moved on him quick because he's a man of color. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Asians get real non-white when they done did something. You know what I mean? And I mean, of course, in from the eyes of white supremacy and law enforcement, it's like, the white supremacist establishment will accept Asians to a point as a so-called model minority, which, by the way, a lighter non-black people do receive, in my opinion, less harsh treatment from the criminal injustice system than black folks, right? But doesn't seem to be the case here. So he's been charged. So again, after being fired and charged initially back in December for allegedly raping his girlfriend, it was after a further investigation that they found the videos and evidence that supports at least 6 other victims and apparently 6 additional victims on top of these 6 victims. So maybe about a dozen, which is mind-boggling, you guys, mind-boggling. And see, this is why part of my positioning on what to do with sexual abusers and rapers can get a little bit not kosher, because I'm sorry. I do support violence against the rapers and the sexual abusers. Like, I can't even pretend. I'm trying to think of the fucking politically correct diplomatic way for me to frame it and say it in a way other than how I just said. I can't. You don't get to destroy 12 people's lives. You don't get to inflict lifetime trauma on one, let alone a dozen. And every part of you needs to get fucked up. You can take that however you want. And I mean that. There is no rehabilitation. There is no reformation for people who commit sexual abuse and rape. They can't be fixed. The only option for them is incarceration that we have, or vigilante justice, which, by the way, when it comes to the rapists and abusers, I ain't got no problems with it. And I wish, truly, like I wish that women, or even, let me rephrase, I hope that people who are survivors of sexual assault, or if you find yourself in a sexual assault situation, I hope that you're armed with something. I hope that you're armed with a knife. I mean, I don't hope you're not armed with a gun. Just for the simple fact, if somebody's already going to sexually assault you and you got a gun on you, chances are they can take that gun from you, right? You know, actually, simply possessing a gun does not necessarily make you safe, because a gun can be taken from you, right, and used against you. I suppose a knife can be too, but I'd rather have something than nothing. Let's put it that way. And I wish that more of these fucking abusers, sexual abusers, let's stick on the sex abuse, rapists, etc. I hope most of them get killed by their victims. Like, I hope in the commission, while you're trying to rape or sexually assault somebody, I hope that the victim either has enough training or enough moxie or the proper weaponry to end you. Because should these rapers get away from that particular assault, they're going to do it again. They're going to do it again. It's not even a question of if, it's a question of when. And I don't think these people deserve to live among us. I don't. And the problem is, while Mr. Cheng is sitting in Rikers right now, I don't believe he was granted any bond. He is in Rikers, and that's exactly where the fuck he needs to be. And he need not ever see the outside again. Now, there's that part. Again, you can call that an unpopular opinion, whatever the fuck. I don't care. I mean, again, because it's not acceptable for women to call for death to rapers, right? Like, oh, you shouldn't be wishing death on people. The fuck? What you thought this was? What you think? You think I got compassion for the rapist? And let's not even talk about the amount of rapers that never, ever get brought to account. So unfortunately, the ones that do get caught, y'all gotta pay double and triple for all the many others that get away. You know, and the fact that this man was a doctor, took an oath to do no harm, and yet committed these atrocities. What does that say? What does that say? And you guys know, since I've been accused of being instigating the gender wars. Oh, you the gender war. Why you want to do the gender war? I don't want to do the gender wars. Okay, it's not me doing the gender wars. When we look at the statistics, and some folks don't think that statistics about gender-based violence is relevant, I disagree. Because do women commit rape, sex assault, murder, domestic violence? Yes, they do. Do women commit rape, sex assault, domestic violence at the same rates that men do? No, they don't. And I don't doubt for a second that men who are the victims of sexual assault and domestic violence underreport those crimes tremendously. I get that. So even the amount of offenses committed by women might be underreported, but even still, okay? I mean, it's not funny, but y'all know I laugh at inappropriate times at inappropriate things on occasion. But let me tell you something. Let me tell you how much bitches would have to be raping men in order to have parity, statistical parity with the amount of shit that the mandem out here do. But every woman would have to be raping a man 24/7 for about 250 years to catch up with what the men them do. The bad men them. I'm not going to not all men on my goddamn show, okay? Because if you already here, fellas, you already know what the fuck time it is, and you know what I think, and I blast on the trash men, and if you not trash men, then this ain't for you. So I don't even like to make them not all men disclaimers, because that shit makes me mad too, because of course not all fucking men. But look at this motherfucker right here. Look at him. Broad shoulders. Again, I like men of all stripes, all races, all ethnicities. I find attractive and sexy men of every hue. Okay, and I look at this guy, and to me, this guy is attractive to me. He's cute. Watch your drink around him, okay? Because he's out here allegedly raping not only his partners, but his patients. And that is such a horrific violation. Someone who has every expectation that their health needs are going to be met by this individual. Someone who is not there, not in this man's company for any sort of romantic entanglement at all. Someone who is there to get treatment is now a victim of this man and his alleged crimes. Absolutely horrific. So, we got a new case to monitor, and it's this guy, Zhi Alan Cheng, of New York, Queens. He lives in Astoria, works at Presbyterian. I just can't. I cannot. They come in all stripes, everybody. They come status, they come degreed, they come moneyed, they come attractive. They come in all forms, every single. Absolutely, absolutely atrocious. We'll keep you updated on the story as it moves forward. Like I said, Mr. Cheng is currently being held on Rikers, awaiting trial. He has pled not guilty to the 50 counts levied against him by the Queens prosecutors.